This video was sponsored by PCBWay. I've been keeping my screws and bolts in boxes, and of course that's a big issue because I build a lot of stuff and then every project I take stuff out of the box and then all of a sudden everything's all over the place. So I never started with a proper workshop or anything like that, and I've just been figuring stuff out as I go. One thing I have going for me though is that I eat quite healthy, and that means I'm also left with a lot of pots, and recently I started collecting those pots. You could do the standard thing, put a shelf on the wall, screw the cap on the bottom of the shelf and then screw them in, right? So I've never really had an issue with coming up with ideas. It's mostly acting on those ideas which is becoming the problem. I think I have about 15 3D models in this CAD software, Shaper 3D over here, and I still need to build pretty much all of them. I think this simple little build is going to really help in that regard because it's going to sort out my screws and I can finally really find stuff very quickly and hopefully build stuff a little bit quicker as well. Something else I've been considering is putting lights on the inside, and then you can somewhat see through them and it looks half decent, but it's also functional. It's like a light. The amount of times it's crossed my mind to just buy one of those pre-built, completely functional workshops in one go, it's quite extreme, but honestly, I think I need to keep to myself and actually build the place up from my perspective with the stuff I have on hand, and somehow I feel that's going to work out a little bit better. Which might be interesting, but I know that's going to be a hassle in terms of future use. You know, the light's going to break and you have to fix the thing and you don't do that and then it's not a light anymore. Because you always gravitate towards wanting to build a really cool thing, and if you do that and, you know, take the organizational projects like this one for granted, it's going to take a lot of the joy out of it. So we need to do these types of projects as well once in a while. It really seems to me like pots are really good for this use case as well. I mean, the see-through, so you can see what's inside before you actually get anything, and it has this little lip, so you can very easily shove out a couple of them and not all at the same time. So apart from stating what Grandad figured out like 50 years ago and taught me, I also really enjoy laser cutting. So in the end I came up with this design where we have two threaded rods on each end, and then we have wooden plates in between where we can drop those little pots into. And I did it in this way because I've lost most of the top caps for these pots, so I can't do the standard method where we screw it onto the bottom of a shelf. And in terms of the threaded rods at the side, we can actually adjust this later down the line. So if something doesn't fit, we can move it up or down, or we could take one stack out and put something else in there. So we're not relying on glue to actually put something together. So I figured it was going to be a pain in the ass to actually put the bolts on this thing. Then I put a metal brush on my drill over here, and that seemed to make the whole situation a lot easier. And of course, in between the wood I'm putting these 3D printed pokes. These are about 2 centimeters long, and that helps everything stabilize into place. Actually laser cut this out of 15mm thick OSB, which might have been a little bit too thick because you can't actually see what's inside of the pots or inside of this little rack system, at least if they're small, so that might be something to improve upon in the next iteration. So if you enjoyed the video so far, then definitely consider leaving a like, leaving a comment and subscribing to the channel. If you don't subscribe, you might never see another one of my videos again because it doesn't end up in your suggested feed. So if you enjoy build videos, you can definitely just hit that button. It's totally free, and you can always unsubscribe later if you don't like it. So even though I really like the look of this thing hanging on the wall over here, this is not really how I do things. I don't know why that is, but I really want things to be in self-contained little units, like little carts with wheels on there. And I think that mostly has to do with the fact that I film a lot and I move stuff around in the space to get the nice shots. But I think it's also somewhat of a dream workshop scenario to have an abandoned factory, roll a bunch of these little carts in there, and then create a makeshift living space without any walls. Now my initial instinct was to go completely overkill with this project and build a frame out of aluminium extrusions and then shrink down the actual holders to 3mm, send it off to be sheet metal fabricated by the sponsor of this video, PCBWay. Someone in the comments actually suggested I check out sheet metal fabrication, and I was quite surprised by how easy it was to just isolate the file, export it as a step file, and then upload it to PCBWay's website over here. You get an instant quote for what something is going to cost, and then you can send it off to them to be manufactured. They offer a lot of different services ranging from PCB production and assembly, CNC machining, 3D printing, injection molding, and of course sheet metal fabrication. Now they also have their 12th anniversary going on right now, so there's a bunch of really awesome deals on the website. You should definitely check it out. I was recently able to salvage some of these scaffolding tubes as well. We might be able to reuse these. So essentially what I'm trying to create is somewhat of a drawer slide, but then more vertical than horizontal. And then we can pull these units out and store a bunch of pots in a very enclosed little space over here. Personally, I don't really enjoy working with scaffolding tubing. It's interesting material, but somehow I often get my hex like stuck in the bolts themselves, and then I have to whack it with a hammer to get it loose again. And every time you build something with it, you probably need lateral struts to actually make it solid because it's going to wobble quite a lot. But I recently took apart a little metal roof in my backyard to make way for some extra solar panels, and that's where I got these scaffolding tubes from. So all of the materials are essentially reused. So for a proof of concept here, this is totally fine. I just want to see if I can actually slide this entire vertical thing out of its place, because with all of the pots in there and the bolts and the nuts, it becomes really quite heavy, and I'm not entirely sure if we can make that smooth enough to where it's functional. So I didn't have quite enough connectors. I'm reusing some of the 25mm rectangular connectors, which also work on the scaffolding tubing over here, and this will provide a nice top segment looking a little bit different from the bottom segment. So I somewhat ran out of ideas for the top segment, but I'm basically making a plate out of OSB, and that has a bunch of holes in there, and this will connect to the bottom slides, which then connect to the top slides of the actual bolt holding frame situation. I don't know what to call this thing actually. If you have a name for it, let me know in the comment section. So keep in mind you can download all of these designs on my Patreon page as well. I know that not everybody has laser cutters and that kind of stuff, but I just upload it there, so in case you want to support the channel in any kind of way, then you also have access to those designs. I really appreciate all of the support over there as well. It really helps out the channel in ways that you couldn't imagine. Eventually I did mess up a little bit because I didn't have bolts that were long enough to actually support all of the wooden pieces that I laser cut earlier. So I put some aluminium plates in place, as I just wanted to test this action of sliding it into place. And to my surprise, that actually worked quite well. I mean, the entire frame is quite wobbly, as I already expected, because I don't have any lateral struts in place. But the actual sliding motion is really quite nice, and it doesn't take a lot of effort to do that. I think this is a worthwhile project to continue, and I'm really looking forward to collecting enough pots to actually fill up the other slides as well. But I'm also considering going the overkill method with the aluminium extrusion frame over there, because then we can also expand upon the system a little bit more easily. Let me know in the comment section which one you prefer, the overkill one or the one that we built over here.